Hey, it's Whitney, and welcome back to the Eco Vegan Gal Uncensored channel, where I share my thoughts, feelings, and opinions on things usually not related to veganism. And this video is not related to veganism. I'll just be upfront with it. First and foremost, thank you to all of the incredible comments on my last video updating you. I can't even believe that I'm in the mood to make a video. Sorry, I'm turning off my phone as I speak. It's really exciting to be in a place where I want to make a video, because I haven't wanted to make a video, or I've wanted it but not enough to sit down and record a video for several months, and this is just so exciting. Anyway, so yeah, thank you for your patience. I recorded actually another video, but then I got self-conscious about it because I was really opening myself up. I might still upload it, but I might like set it as unlisted, and then I don't know. Sometimes it's really hard to open up completely, and it's just scary. I have a lot of fears around being judged, and I'm sure that you can relate to that. So I know for the most part you won't judge me, but there's always that, that thumbs down I got in my last video. I'm like, really? I don't know, whatever. Anyways, that's not what this video is about. This video is about someone else, and someone else is struggling with something. I've mentioned this before, but I absolutely love it when you email me and ask me about life situations and advice and all of that. I never really expected this channel to support others in that way. This channel was really just meant to give you a glimpse into my mind and what was going on more of a personal level of my life. But wow, it's really amazing that people look to me for advice in tough situations. And I would love for this channel to evolve in this, because I love having those conversations. It actually really helps me out a lot too, just think about it and reflect on it. So this video is in response to someone I know well, but I'm going to keep her name private. And she's been going through a breakup. She emailed me about this a few months ago, and I want to apologize to her through video that it took me this long to get to her questions, but I know that she understands. And I just see so much pain in her words that she wrote me about this. And I hope that this helps you, and you as in her, and you as in everybody else watching, because we can all relate to this. Plus, I think it's helpful to look at this in the context of any aspect, any challenge of your life, whether it's a romantic relationship with a family member, a friend, yourself. It really is all one and the same. And so much of this is easier said than done. But one thing I was thinking about the other night when I was kind of struggling with something was that life really is quite simple. It's just that we overcomplicate it. And I think that we overcomplicate things because that's what keeps life interesting. If it was so simple and everyone had it figured out, and there was so much calmness and peace all the time, we might feel kind of bored, and we might feel unmotivated. And perhaps as humans, we've created so much conflict internally and externally to keep life interesting. And it's sad because a lot of this conflict can result in massive emotional pain or physical pain or death and so many things, right? But I suppose that's just part of, that is just part of life. So with saying that, I guess it's very helpful to meditate, literally, or even just to think about it. Meaning, like, you might not need to sit down and have like a full-on meditation, and if you don't have that practice yet. But meditation can really help. And just thinking about you and getting centered and balanced, and realizing that most things that we face in life aren't really that big of a deal in the whole context of things. And it's really hard to see that when we're in pain. It's really hard to see that when we're having physical reactions as we do to so much pain. And I just wanted to preface that with all of this. And I think that healing always comes with time, and the more that we can do to breathe through it and to just remain as calm as possible in the situations and love ourselves and just try to make things more simple, the easier it can become. I was trying to adjust my brightness so that, okay, my shirt, it's just bright in here. Okay, anyways, let's dive into this. So I received an email from this woman, and she told me that she had been dating a man for about 6 months, and they fell heavily in love, she said. I almost said heavenly in love, which I guess could apply too. They discussed having kids and their futures, and they connected on a soul level very spiritually. He ultimately said that the jury was still out whether he was settling for me. She reacted so strongly that she had an emotional explosion, which consisted of angry texts and angry email, and her deciding to end the relationship. She apologized and he apologized, but he decided that he no longer wanted to date her. So her question was, what is the best way to handle a major regret and behavior that ultimately ended in a relationship with the love of her life? And again, I think this question can apply to so many things because we do make decisions, sometimes hastily, sometimes out of anger, that we could regret, and that could cause a major disappointment, a major change in our lives. I've been there, actually. I had not exactly similar, but similar situation where I felt like it was my fault and I triggered the end of a relationship, and we never got back together. I was devastated, so devastated. It was one of the first guys that I felt really in love with. I don't feel like we connected quite on the soul level that you're describing here, but I was really into him. I was thinking about marrying him and having kids with him and all of that. This is years ago. I was so young too. I mean, in hindsight, it's funny just how our perspectives change. But at the time, it was just devastating. I was so lovesick and heartbroken. And, the situation that ended the relationship was actually not that big of a deal, but I felt like it was my fault. I probably triggered it, but the way he reacted to it was definitely, his part of it. And he decided to end the relationship, and it was just horrible. And I beat myself up around it for so long. And eventually I moved on and I started dating other guys. And this is several guys that I've dated ago. And looking back, I'm really glad that it didn't work out with him. I don't know if I ever thought he was the one as she did. She's in a different stage of her life than I was back then. So, youth can really play a big role in relationships, but I really don't know if her next question was actually, can you lose the one? Or could he have never been the one because he left? And I think that that's probably it. I mean, in my experience, when you're in the right partnership, you come back together no matter what. Or there's two different ways you can look at this. Or you can look at it as that was the partnership and the one then. You see this with married couples that have been together for like 10, 20 years, and then they get divorced and they move on to other relationships. Maybe they decide after that point that there really is no one, but maybe it's more about being that one then. I mean, you can be in these long-term relationships, have kids together, be madly in love, do everything together, and it still not work out. And still, it just, something doesn't mesh up. And this can happen in so many different stages of our lives. But I don't think that people regret those relationships. I don't think that that means that you're any less in love. And that to me is the first step in this, is realizing that we have to look at it from the present moment too. So many of us spend all this time thinking about the future and the past. But when we live in the present, that's all that really matters. So if you feel like right now that person that you're with is the one, or you felt like in the past, at that past moment, that person was the one, then that really is the reality. That's the truth. You're living in that reality at that time. And our minds and our hearts think things and feel things at the time that feel very real and are very real to us then. And we never know what circumstances are going to change those, but that doesn't change what we are feeling in the present, if that makes sense. And so for us to have regrets, first and foremost, is kind of useless, because if it's not like we could have known then what we know now. We knew and felt what was actually possible for us to know and feel at the time. And so I think just that can be very comforting if you look at it that way and know that you were doing your best at the time. You were doing your best at the time in the relationship. You were doing the best at your time when you got so angry and you had that emotional explosion. I mean, sometimes that happens for a reason too. And I'll get more to some of the conclusions that she may have been drawing over time since she sent this email. This email, to give you some context, was sent to me in May, and then a follow-up was sent earlier this month, and then another follow-up was sent, I think, this past week. So it's been evolving over time. And I think that, the best way to handle the regret is just to forgive yourself and to trust that you were doing your best in that moment. And sometimes we make mistakes, or sometimes things happen for a reason, and maybe down the line you will realize that he was the one at the time, but not the one for the rest of your life. And that's okay. So her next question was, how do we address the feeling that I am not good enough? She thought her self-confidence and self-esteem were both very healthy and rather high up, but that comment about him feeling like he might be settling for her triggered something deep within her, and she felt like someone she loved didn't think she was good enough. And wow, can I relate to this big time. I've mentioned this before on these videos. Probably one of my biggest challenges in life is feeling like I'm not good enough. I feel it all the time, and it's horrible. And that's something that I've really been striving to work on within myself. So first and foremost, that's probably a very, very deep feeling that you have been feeling since childhood, or maybe it's some sort of karma or emotional baggage that you've been carrying on. I feel like a lot of that comes from my mother, and I don't know if she ever felt good enough, and I wouldn't be surprised if her mother didn't feel good enough in her life. And so I think that just really gets passed on to us. And who knows? I mean, I've been wanting to sit down and just dig through and try to figure out the root of me not feeling good enough. And I have done a little bit of that searching. It takes a lot of time, first and foremost. I'm not going to any official therapy, but I spend a lot of time reading and meditating and contemplating and having conversations that have become my therapy. And one thing that I've realized is that there have been so many messages sent to me and probably to everybody that we're not good enough. And especially nowadays, we have social media. I was just talking about this with someone yesterday, how social media can trigger us feeling not good enough because we see people that are more beautiful than us. We go on Instagram and there are hundreds of people that look more beautiful than us, at least maybe in our minds. And they're doing things that seem better than us. And they might seem more successful or more wealthy or more in love or all of this other stuff. So we see more through social media, through YouTube, through all of this. And of course, if we compare ourselves to that, we're not going to feel good enough. We're going to feel like they have it better than us, which thus makes us feel less. But I've been feeling this most of my life, way before social media started. And so what I've been really working on is trying to figure out that root and then heal from that past and heal myself now and just remind myself that I'm good enough. So meditation really helps, and affirmations really, really help. I need to get into a better practice of that, but I actually have a list of affirmations that I've been meaning to read out loud on a daily basis. You can write these down. Both really helps as well. Being around people that say these things remind you, like, I'm always happy to be there for you. And maybe I should do a video of just affirmations. If you want that, please let me know in the comments so that I'll make it happen. I feel like we just have to do that ourselves. Nobody outside of us can tell us that we're good enough. Or they can, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to believe it. People can tell you that you're beautiful and that you're amazing and all of this, but no matter how many times you hear those things, you're not going to believe it until you've told yourself that and you have really let that soak in and you've healed from any of these past occasions that have told you that you're not good enough. I also think it's completely reasonable to feel that you're not good enough if somebody's telling you that they feel like they're settling for you. I mean, wow, that hurts. So hey, I get that. And I get that that would trigger you. And I think it's important to think about, again, has anyone else ever said that to you or given you that message? For someone to say they're settling kind of does mean that you're not good enough to them, or yeah, I guess that's basically it. So I think that is a completely reasonable feeling to have, and you're just going to have to do a lot of soul searching and lots of love. Then she asked how to ultimately deal with heartbreak. And I think that I've summed this up a lot. Self-love is the most important. Surrounding yourself with amazing people is so, so key. Through my heartbreaks, I tend to usually withdraw a lot and want to be by myself, and that's fine too. I've healed myself a lot through music, through contemplation, through time, through food, through meditate, so many different things. But I feel like if you can find some people that you can just talk to and reflect to on a reasonable level, sometimes I know I found myself over talking scenarios. I also find that if I feel like I need to just talk, I'll just talk to myself literally. I'll record a video. I did this the other night, actually. I recorded a 45-minute video to myself, from myself, just talking things out. And it was so tremendously helpful because the more I talked, the more I found answers. And that's usually why we talk. That's kind of the whole purpose of therapy. If you've ever been to therapy, most therapists will just sit there and listen. And sometimes they'll ask questions and all of that. But ultimately, you'll find the answer just through talking and thinking about it. So I really recommend that. And just giving yourself time and patience, as much love as possible. Do whatever you can to make yourself feel loved. Treat yourself. Eat foods that you love. Go to places that you love. Do everything that you love. Treat yourself the way that you want to be treated by someone that loves you. And I think that is the most healing thing you could possibly do. So just take care of yourself and be patient with yourself. You're going to be going through a roller coaster of emotions, but frankly, I go through roller coasters of emotions even when I'm not going through a breakup. That's just part of my life and who I am. And I got to ride it out and love myself. And if I want to sit in bed all day and watch Netflix, that's what I do. If I want to go get ice cream, that's what I do. I try not to make any of this an ongoing habit. But when I'm feeling down, if that stuff makes me feel better, I'm going to do it because it feels like loving myself. Now, what's interesting is that this woman's most recent email kind of turned the tables here. So there's one last thing to address. She wrote me recently and said that she found out that her ex was cheating on her the whole time. So that changes some things a little bit, although most of my advice still sticks here. But she said she's floored and found out because they have couple photos on Facebook. And it looks like she's saying that they were taking these photos while she was still a couple with him. Ouch. I've actually kind of been through a similar situation, not nearly as bad or traumatic, but so I can relate to that feeling to an extent. And so she wanted to know if I could talk about being fooled and manipulated by someone that you really trusted and loved. It's tough. I mean, that one I'm not as readily good at giving advice on in that case. Maybe Evie can address this one, but I'm just kidding. I think it just comes down to you just got to love yourself more. And that's really the simple answer. And the answer to pretty much everything is that you didn't know. You didn't know that this person was cheating on you, and you didn't know that you were being fooled or manipulated. So you were doing the best that you could at the time. And I think that oftentimes we think of ourselves as fools, and we should have known better, and we should have noticed this, and blah, blah, we should have. But what's the use in thinking of all of that, really? I mean, that's just beating ourselves up. That's not getting us closer to healing and to love. Sometimes we need to go through those emotions to process them, and I think that can be healthy and helpful. I think writing them down, talking out loud, finding people that you can talk to in these situations is helpful. But ultimately, it just comes down to forgiving yourself and loving yourself more. And just letting it go as soon as you can. I really find that reading helps me probably the most. So I've been, going through this funk for months now on different levels with content creation specifically. And I just do a lot of reading. And it really helps. I mean, the other day, there's actually a cool site that I'll link to down below that I found called Playster. And it's got a lot of kinks in it. It's still in beta right now. But what's cool about it is you can read unlimited books through this website. And they don't have an app yet, so you have to read it on your computer, which is a downside. But I'm sure in the future they'll make it available for iPads and Kindles and all of that. But it's really neat. I went on there for hours the other day and was just like adding all these books into my library. And then you just pick whatever and you read it. And if you're like that, sign up for a website like that or something, or maybe just use iBooks or Kindle or Google Books or whatever it is, and just read. Go to the library, go to the bookstore, and just, to me, I just go through and find whatever book seems to be calling me. You know, go to the self-help section if you'd like, and just, there's gonna be a book about that topic, you know. And just sitting down away from my computer by myself is so helpful. Of course, we can read blogs. Of course, we can watch videos and movies and all of that. But to me, a book just is something so different, a physical book or a digital book, because you feel like you're in your own world and you can heal yourself through other people's words and experiences and anecdotes, all of this stuff. So I would say that's number one. There's plenty of books out there that'll talk about heartbreak, that'll talk about being cheated on. I mean, there's something out there for you. So know that you're not alone. Know that you're supported. Know that you're loved. Treat yourself with deep love and forgive yourself. And I promise that healing will come to you in time. I don't know exactly when, but it will come. And I'm here for you. I'm thinking about you. I'm sending you out the best words possible. This goes to you, specifically the woman who asked, and this goes to anyone else who's been struggling through something similar or just struggling in general. And maybe these words are just helping, because like I said in the beginning, this advice applies to so many aspects of our lives. And I really hope that it helped you. It helps me just to talk about it. You know, sometimes talking to you is like giving myself therapy, almost all of the time, I should say. So it goes both ways, right? And that's part of why I love this channel. Thank you so much to everyone for watching. Thank you specifically to the woman that wrote this. Sending you so much love. And I will see you all soon. If you are going through a situation that you'd love my perspective on, feel free to send me an email at any time to whitney@ecovegangal.com. It might take me a few months to get to it, or hopefully not longer than that, but I would love to do these more frequently, so maybe you'll get to it really soon. And that's it for today. I am uploading another video to the main Eco Vegan Gal channel today, and I've been doing a lot on Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, so that's where you can find me between now and the next video. Every once in a while I'll do a Periscope, so you can check in there if you don't know about that yet. That's a live streaming application, so I'm trying to get more on a regular schedule with that, but you can tune in and see me live and interact with me live or watch the replay. And I have a bunch of them saved up that I plan on uploading to my channels at some point. So there's so much coming to you. There's so much I can't wait to share about what's been happening in my life in the past few months. And things are looking up for me, so that means things are looking up for you. What goes around comes around. Wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.